Ready? Burn.
Coach, you've been at several programs here, and you've been successful everywhere you've gone. If you would, tell me, what are some things you're doing to be successful? And let's start with the stuff that you're doing off the field. What are some things that is bringing success to your football teams?
Well, you know, I've been pretty fortunate. I've had great football coaches, and I know a lot of guys will say that for PR purposes, I guess. I've been really fortunate. I had a guy groom me at Edwards County by the name of Bill Kinsey, and Bill was awesome. He probably taught me more about how to be a head coach than anybody did. So I was very fortunate there. Then I went to Mount Carmel, and I had some great football coaches. Darren Peach is the head football coach there, Kevin Smith. And then I went to Wright's, and Brian Snow followed me over there, and then I had him and Nick Hart and Jeff Long, and I'm going to miss some guys, but that was such a great football staff. Tim Shipp. And then coming here, that was one of the things I really pushed again was a great staff. And you know, if I was to tell anybody who's becoming a head coach, man, fight those battles. That is a battle we're fighting, is to make sure you get the best football coaches. Don't let administrators or people in the community or anybody else convince you who your coaches should be. You really got to fight for the right reasons, not for buddyism or anything else. But I've had great football coaches. Numerous of those guys have went on to be head football coaches, and all of them have been successful. So, you know, again, I attribute probably most of my success to the ability, about choosing a wife. You know, you choose a great one, and you're going to be pretty happy. And I've been that fortunate. So I think that's a big piece. We also, I know we talked earlier about some of the off-season programs we do. We've always been terrific in the weights, and at every school I've been at, and here at Warren especially, I am our weight room coach. We had probably the best one in the country, and Cuts came up with the idea that it ended up being me. And so we've got a fabulous weight room. Maybe we'll get a clip of it, but fabulous weight room, so I think it's a big difference. I think one of the most unique things, and I adopted this from the previous staff, is we go through 6 weeks of morning workouts from 6 to 7 before school. And the first 6 weeks is 14 stations, 3 minutes at a time, and it'll gash you. We put out throw-up buckets all over the place, and our kids come. We always have over 100 kids show up in the morning. We try to make a big deal out of it. It's a tough man type thing. Then we come back and we take a couple-week break and have 6 weeks in the spring. And it's more fundamental football things now. In the state of Indiana, it's just like Illinois. You're not allowed to do football, you know, anything that has a football or football gear or anything like that. But you can do things that are more sports specific. And you know, the linebacker coach has the linebackers. Well, they're doing drills, plyometrics and drills that pertain to it, much like what a college would do. You know, whenever I was out at Oklahoma, you know, they even set up the weight programs for a quarterback. Well, that's really what we kind of do in the springtime with those guys, is we try to get them to where they're used to doing the same things that they'll do once they put football gear on.
Now, Coach, you mentioned something in passing, and I found it very interesting. I want to know more. You mentioned that you had a walk-on program here at your high school. How does that work?
Well, you know, and again, hopefully we get a shot of our locker room, but we have 111 lockers. But we have about 150 kids come out for football, sophomore through seniors. And our school is the size of 4,000, so it's bigger than the hometown I came from, Newton, Illinois. So it's a huge high school. So we get 150 kids out for football. I only give gear to usually 90 of them. And 2 a day throughout the summertime do we start giving, you know, more pads to, and then even through football, you know, the start of football season, to where we get up to 111. When we get to 111, those walk-ons are allowed to stay out and still participate in the walk-on program, but they're waiting for somebody else to drop off, either through injury or attrition from somebody realizing they're not going to be the next Joe Montana or something. So we do have that attrition, but the unique part of that is something I started when I came here is our Marines run our boot camp, our walk-on program. And what they'll do is they'll write down, they'll do attendance of who is here and make marks on outstanding performers. And at the end of, when we're ready to start picking players, I don't pick up a defensive end per se. I pick up the next kid with a great attitude. because you know when you get past 110 guys, typically the next 111 or 12 or 13 is not going to make an impact in your program, much like a walk-on would do to Nebraska or something. He's not going to be the next starting quarterback for the most part.
That's a unique program. I really like the sound of that. Just to finish this off here, tell me, this is something else that also piqued my interest about Warren Central. I know you guys win state titles. A few years ago, Warren Central came up and played against Maine South, which is one of the top programs in Illinois, and Warren Central actually hammered them. But tell me, at what point do you think a program starts to look into, let's do something out of state against somebody else's big dogs? At what point does a program look into doing that? Are you a fan of doing that? I know that was before you came here. I don't know if you guys are still doing that. What do you think are some of the benefits and or downfalls of doing that?
Well, we do, and what's unique about Indiana as opposed to Illinois, everybody gets in and it's not seeded. I would rather have it seeded, and I would rather half the teams not get in, but that's not my call. But we do play Glenville out of Ohio, the second ball game. It may be on ESPN. Between the two of us, I've heard as many as 20 Division I players will be out on that football field at that time. And there's East St. Louis and Cathedral's playing before then, so there'll be another 8 to 10 kids out there then. So at Warren Central, we're always searching for the best competition, and it really comes down to this. You want to win state championships. That's by far our #1 priority, but also to have a chance to compete nationally. And the only way you can do that is go out of state and play people like the Maine Souths, like the Glenvilles. We played Middletown since I've been here. So we've played a lot of great schools outside of just our state to kind of get that national recognition. Now we'll finish with this. When we were at Wrights, we used to come up and play in this classic, and we would play teams out of the MEC. And our whole purpose is that we were a small 5A school that had a tremendous amount of success, but when we played Indianapolis, we would get beat. I wanted our kids to come up, win or lose, to fill that competition. If we won, we knew we could win it all. If we lost, we knew we had a lot more work to do. And I think it's a big part of the reason why Wrights has won 2 state championships in the last 3 years.
Coach, thank you so much. I love hearing the wisdom from other coaches and other places, and you guys have really got it going here. Good luck in 2010, and we hope to see more of you.
Sounds great. Thank you.